Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Amy Schreiber, where we talk about life's journey, the real estate market, and everything in between. So we are recording in a different location right now. And for the first time, Katie Usling, my co-host, is actually here with me recording this next episode. So Katie, where do we leave off?
So we left off with a really tough topic of conversation, which is mental abuse in the workplace and everything that you dealt with, everything you went through. I know we're talking a little bit more about it today, but we've already had so many people reach out and share their story with you with something similar that has happened, and just
and just the support. Obviously we were trying to be careful. No names have been mentioned or will be mentioned, but if you are familiar with me and, my experience, I'm sure you know who I was talking about. And as you mentioned, a lot of support coming my way. And I do want to reiterate, I'm good. I know that it has been an emotional journey through these episodes, right? Kind of looking back and really rethinking about the impact everything has been on my career and, of course, where I'm at now. So I say all that to say, yes, it was painful. It was very tough. I don't know how I got through. Obviously, the support of those around me, God, I'm sure, had a big part of that too, and just pushing me forward. But I'm grateful that it showed me where I needed to be, right? Or it led me to where I am now. So yeah, so let's, I guess, just dive in.
I'm excited. Can't wait to hear more.
Yeah. So I think we left off where I was assigned to a new manager. He was an executive director. He had come from a different field. Mm-hmm. And again, great guy. I'll always be grateful for his support. But in this new role that I had taken on, and again, after everything that I had experienced, I'd already made the decision. Nobody was going to change my mind as to my future, whether it be a year from now, 2 years, etc. I was leaving corporate America. I knew it, right? And I had been doing some research on what Amy wants to do and what Amy would be good at. But obviously I had to get to that state. So started reporting to a really good guy, as I mentioned. His name is Elias. And our job was to rebuild our client service model. So our client service model was very reactive. Clients call in, the service reps, they answer, just typical stuff, right? That they've done for years. Now we were tasked with, you really need to change your model. We got to start being proactive. How are we going to do it? Yeah. How are we going to try to identify when clients reach out to us before they reach out to us, right? How can we do some of that intelligence work, right, prior to? So that's what we were in charge of. And I'm grateful that he came in. He had a different idea of how to do this than the previous guy. We will not mention ever again. But it was, and he challenged me. It was a great opportunity for me to take what I had learned and grew to love from a strategic perspective, right? We were defining strategy on how we could move from one model to the next, kind of what we did with the decommission model years before, right? And the impact that we had made for the company as well. So, my task was being his right hand, which I enjoyed. And it was really helping define the strategy, share the strategy with others to get everybody on board, implement. But when you implement a new model, you have to understand baseline and you have to understand how you're doing against that new model. So because of my previous experience in the data world, and we had talked about that several episodes ago, I had grown to enjoy data. When the other guy left, and, the new managing director was my boss for a short period of time, and I wasn't being tasked anything. I took the initiative and started pulling all the data and started figuring out when we're building this new model and this new guy is going to be my boss, how can we prove to our stakeholders that we are doing what we need to do and we're seeing improvements? And that would be building metrics, building reporting, right? That would be shared globally. So that's what I worked on and, taught myself. And it was funny because, again, I had grown to love data, but definitely didn't start being analytical until, shortly before that time. But I just played with the data and I said, okay, here are the key indicators. There are a few, right, that we knew we would need to be, we would need to hit, right? Here's the baseline and here's the improvements over a period of time. And then I was like, okay, that's all great on a monthly basis, right? I want to know if I were in the seat of the CEO, the manager, how are we trending on a day-to-day basis? It was a pain in the ass. It was a lot of data I had to look at. I had someone reporting to me in my right hand who stayed as my right hand. And, we started, just pulling the data every day, started looking at it, trying to identify trends on turnaround time, etc., and built a freaking awesome trending metric report over time, right? That, again, always important to make a difference, right? We never know what that difference is in people's lives, in our companies. We know a little bit. We don't know everything, right? But I know, again, I left something, right? I left a legacy for a period of time and really helped communicate to our shareholders or stakeholders that this model that we had put in place was working. Yeah, you always have to tweak and adapt and change, right? I mean, that's just the reality of business, professional, personal life, everything, right? But it was just such a great experience. And so I did that for, I think, about a year or close to. And then I remember after my next review. So again, implemented a great model, supported the executive director, was always, giving any information he needed. It was there. And like I said, he was very supportive. But I had done some soul searching and it was time. It was time for me to say, okay, let's see what happens with the review. It was okay. I think, I was disappointed because I feel I did more than what anybody knew. A lot of the stuff, the trends, the metrics reporting, the monthly reporting, the weekly reporting, the stakeholder reporting, all of that I created. Again, with the help of others, right? I had an analyst. It was not all me, but I really honestly believe I was shortchanged. And again, we know probably why. No facts associated with it, but again, it is fine. So after my review, I had, figured out my next step. It's going to take some time, but, I had a thought, and I remember about a week later, I didn't do it right then because I didn't want to do anything out of, being upset or, whatever. So about a week later, I had a conversation with my manager. I told him, I said, this is not for me anymore. But you're doing such a great job. I need you. I love you. I can't do this without you. And, you'll get promoted. And, I was like, no, I've made my decision. I did this because, and I give everything in anything I do. Whether I'm leaving in a year or two, right? I'm still going to put forth the effort and try to make a difference. So I asked him, I said, let me go.
Yeah.
Just let me go. There was an opportunity for me if I was going to take a risk in a new job, which I did. I needed to build kind of a, you know, a safety net.
Yeah.
And there were opportunities where you could get let go and get a package.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should share that or not, but it's reality. Yeah. And I said, I want to be one of those people. I don't care what you have to do. If you have to, I do care. I don't want to destroy my reputation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was okay. You know, it's like, okay, Amy, win. And I'm like, now. I know it's not a reality.
Right.
But, you know, I was thinking, okay, this was in January. We had the conversation. I was like, okay, maybe May, April, May, something like that. And this was right before COVID.
Oh, wow.
Or during COVID. I can't even remember. 2020. So it was COVID. And so finally, you know, of course, they worked me to the bone until the last day. Did not get a break. All the while working towards a license for real estate, because that was where I was going to, my next step was going to be. But it took, I think my last day was like October 3rd, 10 months.
That is crazy.
I know. And it was like, I was grateful because COVID and everything, you know, I mean, everything happens for a reason and timing is always at play. And we just never know why it takes so long for certain things. It drives us crazy. Yes. But at the end of the day, it was, it was just something I needed to do, you know, and, throughout that time, right, when he knew I was wanted to leave, and we were continuing to focus on business, continuing to do what I needed to do to get things done, pushing me to my limits as they always did, which is fine. But I had then decided real estate after doing a lot of research, after having interviews with, I have a couple family members in the business, so had conversations with them and really wanted to, you know, understand the risk. Going from 6-figure plus bonus guaranteed pretty much, unless you get let go, but, to, I don't know, no guarantee of income. It was a risk. So at the, you know, again, I took that risk and it was a calculated risk. And as you know, I've taken risks throughout my entire career. And it proved to be the right thing to do. Yeah. And finally, October 3rd, I think, was the day in 2020. I left corporate America and didn't look back until recently. I was doing these podcasts. So, yeah.
Well, I love that you're sharing your story now publicly for really the very first time on these podcasts, that we're getting to hear your journey,
Yeah.
And we're definitely, I think the biggest takeaway, and I talked about this last week, is that you identify when things aren't going the way that you need them to go, and you pivot and you make huge decisions that are in your best interest, but you do them strategically and smartly and not on the spur of the moment or out of emotion. You do it very logically. And I think that's something we can all learn from.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I made the right choice. We know there were some that I didn't, but again, at the end of the day, I learned from it and pivoted, you know, and I think we all need to do that in all areas of our lives. And I have and continue. Yes. A lot has changed in my world. And I'm, you know, again, there have been ups and downs. No journey is perfect. But it's been a journey. And like I said, I don't think I ever want to be in corporate America or work in corporate America. That may change down the road and, you know, I'll get proven wrong. But I think outside of that and making this move, being grateful for all the heartache and the pain that I suffered over those last few years at the firm, I'm a better person for it. I am a totally different person. And I think a lot of times we all tell ourselves, or you may think of this, but, you know, people can't change. People can't, you know, make these. Yeah, you can. I mean, it was an evolution over time for me, but I think if I have to really be honest with myself, the last 3 to 4 years, I am a completely different person than I was years ago.
Yeah.
And I think every year, you continue to grow and be better, hopefully, and at the end of the day, I just want to help others. And that's why I decided to to move into the real estate world. Because at that point I was really looking for a purpose.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy, obviously. And, this, although challenging and frustrating at times, I have really excelled in this field. And I think it's because of the love that I have for people and for building relationships and knowing that communication and relationships are critical. Those are probably the two key things to be successful I hate to say sales because I'm not a salesperson at all. But I know I'm in real estate. I know I've been very successful. But I think of it more as a consultant advisory role than a sales role. So yeah, over the last 20, 25 years in corporate America, it was amazing. I learned a lot. It is who I am. It's helped me become who I am. And I will continue to look to grow and do things and expand my business. We're, looking at different ways to expand the business, maybe move into a different part of the business. Who knows? We'll have more to come in the future on that.
I'm looking forward to hearing it. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Always love hearing your podcast and cannot wait.
And I appreciate you so much. I couldn't do this without you. And we are going to be hosting other podcasts, maybe smaller, what do you call it? Story podcast? I don't know. Different types of podcasts.
Definitely interviewing different people in the industry. I'm excited because this is kind of where my journey, with Amy starts, is the real estate world. So I'm excited to hear how she got started during COVID. And something that I always tell her clients whenever I'm, introducing me and her, I'm always like, her background in corporate America has made her who she is. And it's made her this incredible asset to have on your team and to have as your agent. So I love getting the backstory of how this is Amy Schreiber.
Thank you. And your marketing skill set. And she's got 15 plus years in marketing and just the growth in social media. And we're going to continue. Right now we're small, and that's okay. I would prefer to be, to grow organically and hopefully make a difference in one person's lives. Thank you guys for spending the time over these last several weeks, hearing my story, and more to come.